Hello and welcome to Gaming Gain. My name is Muzz and welcome to my thoughts and opinions on The Penguin. Regarded by a lot of critics as one of the top shows of the year, I thought I will give it a bash, but not just because of that. The Batman, the Robert Pattinson one, I actually believe it could be my second favourite Batman film. Obviously, The Dark Knight takes the top, but I actually think I went in with low expectations for the Robert Patterson film, just because of Robert Patterson. Like I've not really seen anything with him in it as where I've been like captivated by his performance, and I thought the overall film they matched the tone. It was different from The Dark Knight, while still obviously being Batman. So to see a TV show kind of continue on the story, I thought was fantastic, and especially with it being centered around the Penguin. One, I think of the more underrated villains in Batman, and first and foremost, Colin Farrell is fantastic, unrecognizable as the Penguin, and he's sinister, he's evil. At points, he's quite charming, heartwarming. Like he is just a three-dimensional character who I think really carries the series in a lot of ways because it's just a kind of typical kind of gangster control for power TV series that we've seen, I think, in quite a lot of media nowadays. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you a general overview of kind of what I thought without going into too many spoilers, and then uh, go on towards the end and kind of cover some of the key points. So, as I said, the Penguin picks off from where the Batman, finished. The city's been kind of destroyed by the Riddler, with the flood walls being blown up, and we're introduced to kind of the aftermath of it through the eyes of the Penguin. And he is, kind of lost in the world. You think he's obviously lost his boss, uh, the leader of the Falcone family, whose name escapes me. I know Salvatore Maroni, who is the leader of the other family. For whatever reason, I know he's a key player in Batman, but anyway, he's out the picture, so he's kind of feeling a bit lost, and he ends up trying to work his way up the ladder. I think he's kind of always felt this way, that he was destined for something better, something greater than where he was. And in the series, it shows him willing to do almost anything to kind of put himself ahead of others. I think the I'm gonna have to touch on like spoilery stuff, but I'm not gonna go too into detail. So he ends up meeting this young boy named Victor, who becomes his essential assistant, and Penguin takes him under his wing. Victor's family, unfortunately, were washed away in the floods, and the Penguin is now taking him under his wings. Victor's nothing like the Penguin. He's anxious. He's got a stutter, and I think their relationship uh, really does a good part of taking this typical gangster story and kind of differentiating a wee bit, making you actually care for what happens to both of them, because they both uh, you start to see the relationship develop, and they become like family. Then you have the other side. The main kind of antagonist is Sophia Falcone, although she's changed her name halfway. Oh, that's a big spoiler actually. I won't go into further detail there. She does change her name, but I won't say why. So she's the kind of main baddie, and she she's a very sympathetic villain. Like you do feel for her, and you actually, in some ways, some of her, maybe it's not some of her actions justified, but she basically wants to get back at the Penguin for what he done to her, and that kind of involves them going back and forth, and ultimately someone comes out on top. You've got the crime family's kind of mixed in. It's a very gritty, realistic take on Gotham. Like there's a lot of the more background. It's kind of like, this is what I actually really like about this TV series, is that it takes the film and it just expands it. It takes the kind of lore of the film and the themes from the film and makes it grander, makes it bigger, and really adds on, and hopefully for the next film that there's going to be in that kind of bubble of DC, is that you're going to have a bigger cast of characters, you're going to have more players in the game, and I actually hope that they're building this up to be that the Penguin is the next big baddie, because I think this show sets it up perfectly. And yeah, just kind of the intertwinings of the gangsters, the politics, and how the city is now kind of like relying on both of them to kind of pull each other through, which is an interesting take on like a kind of survival, well, like a post-disaster, is like focusing on like the work that these gangsters do. Yep, it does have harm, but it also has a lot of good in the neighbourhoods that they're in. Like they provide jobs, they provide money, and they actually become really well liked. And that's actually a theme that we see kind of early on, with the Penguin talking about a gangster from back in his time called Rex, who was loved and like really well respected. And he talks about like when Rex died, the neighbourhood threw like a street party for him. I think that's what Cobb wants to get to. So overall, yep, I really liked it. I don't think it was as, like, I think I would give it 7.5 out of 10. There were something like, it's a very dense series, and you really need to be switched on all the time, otherwise you'll miss like key details. There's a lot of characters. Some of the scenes in it are really intense and really I think well done, but it's just something, I don't know, maybe it was like there wasn't, there was just maybe too much going on, too many things to keep track of, and I just felt like I wasn't really as invested as I should have been. Like, I think the relationship between Victor and the Penguin is fantastic, really, and leads to one of the most, well, I'll get to that in a little bit, but leads to a very key moment in the series where it caught me off guard, like completely caught me off guard. Sophia, she's empathetic, but at times she kind of just lets her, like, she comes across as very sinister as well, and like kind of like the Penguin in a way, but I don't know, just she didn't really like grab me as like an antagonist in terms of the way, like, oh, I feel that fear for the Penguin. I never really got that vibe, and there's just a lot of cast of characters. So, but overall, maybe even an 8, 7.5 to an 8. You know, I think I'm being quite, maybe not doing it justice, because it's incredibly well made, like incredibly well made film. Like the performances are excellent, the shots, the scenes, like the way it kind of all fits together. It's just a very good show, a very good show. So we're going to get into a bit of spoilers, and we're going to end with, in fact, let's spoilers. So please turn off if you do not want to get spoiled. We're going to end with a big one, and we're going to talk about the Victor and Penguin relationship. As I talked about, one of the best aspects of the show, and basically it leads to this climactic moment where everything's done. The Penguin's now on top. Victor's helped him. He actually ended up coming up with the plan, I believe, to actually get Sophia alone. Sophia is then, okay, so I'll go more into her in a bit, because she actually has a really interesting backstory. But so you're thinking, oh, this is great, Vic's going to be there, and then the Penguin, yeah, kills him, and I love shows that do this, where they take what should be a straightforward ending and they twist it. How the Penguin done it, but Oh, I'm not sure. Not the actual killing, the show, the penguin. Um, the killing was brutal, like really intense, like sad, really really sad, because the Vic's been kind of been reborn into this slick, kind of not cocky but confident young man who's got these ideas and can now share them onto out into the world without feeling like he's without doubting himself, and that's because of the penguin. That's because of what they've went through, the journey they've went on. So there's been a clear arc there, and you're thinking, yes, Vic's going to be the penguin's right hand man. And they talk about like being family, and you're like, oh, this is nice. This is kind of like what the crime families are like. And then penguin just gets him by the neck and just chokes him out, and it's long, it's drawn out. Vic starts going, why, and it's like, what? I thought he was going to let him go, but he didn't, and yeah, he kills him right there, and you're like, holy crap. And that just solidifies him as a villain. Like this whole he's kind of been an anti-hero up to this point, but now he is a bona fide villain, the penguin. What frustrated it for me was, see if that had been like the final scene, because he talks about like the penguin kind of justifies it by saying like you can't have family, it'll make you weak. Yet in the next scene, he's got his mum, who's a vegetable now, up in the penthouse, and he's also got his girlfriend who they've already used against him. Well, so I'm like, double standards, and like maybe he's justifying it a different way. But I thought, oh, if you're going to talk about not having family to Victor, well, so that took away a bit, I think, from the actual death of Victor. But that scene was really well done in terms of the dramatic climax to their relationship, and it was sad. It was just a sad scene for Victor. The key point. Sophia, her backstory is fascinating. So the penguin Cobb was her driver, and she had been doing a lot for like women's rights, and then finds out her dad may have played a part in the hanging of different women, including Sophia's mother. So Sophia stumbled on her mother, and the penguin. So Sophia goes to a journalist. They talk, and then the penguin feeds this information to the family. Sophia then gets blamed for the murders, and then is locked away. She's then out. People think she's the hangman, is what they're calling her. When she, in fact, done none of this, and this kind of justifies her decision. I think it's well and truly, I think it justifies everything. Like, she was betrayed by her family. She ends up killing them all in a pretty humane way, I've got to say. Pardon me. She's going after the penguin who has the biggest, and then I forgot the whole thing that kicks it off is the penguin kills Alberto Falcone, who is Sophia's brother, who was actually the only one who kind of looked out for her. So she's even more ammunition to go against the penguin. And she comes across as, I've kind of talked about that, but she comes across really well as the empathetic villain. Does she? I don't know, because I was never, like, she does have good scenes, but in terms of her being like the main antagonist for the penguin, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't get it. I didn't really feel that invested. I was actually more invested in the penguin and Salvatore Maroni. I thought their scenes were really good together, where the penguin's kind of like tired of this shit. He's tired of being pushed around for the whole time, so he goes up and just talks to Sal. Sal is played by Clancy Brown from oh my god, what is that film? Shawshank Redemption, the prison guard. So I think it's great that he's still acting, because he plays the role really well. And I don't know what else to kind of talk about in this world. I don't want to take you through kind of what's happened, because in terms of like beat by beat, just kind of hit on the main points. But yeah, I don't really think there's any key big points that I want to go through. Or there's a new drug. That's kind of how the families get intertwined, and the start of a kind of war. The penguin gets his hands on it. He becomes the big dog for a while. That other families join up. They're going after him. He gets the gangs, like the smaller gangs, that kind of form on him. And yeah, it's just a good show. And I think the what it has done has really made me excited for the next Robert Pattinson Batman. And I hope that they don't go to the Joker next. I think they've done a great job of building up the Penguin, and with that final scene before the one where they kind of ruined it, in my opinion, but with Victor like making him the villain now. He's been this anti-hero all the way through, but with that act at the end, he is 100%. Like, I really liked Victor. I thought he was a great character, really well acted as well. Had that kind of, although he does some less than noble things towards the end, he is still very much this kind of still innocent kid who's just trying to get through the world, like survive this world, and he's been doing it the way that the Penguin's been showing him. And to have him die at the hands of his mentor is, I think, fantastic. In terms of, not fantastic, obviously it's unfortunate for Victor, but it's a fantastic way to turn the Penguin from this anti-hero into the villain for the next Batman. So that is what I am really looking forward to. And that's all I'm going to say on it. I can't think of anything else, to be honest. But if you've watched the Penguin and you want to talk about it, please talk about it. Let's talk about it in the comments below. With all these things, I'm trying to kind of work out what works and what doesn't work. So maybe if you prefer just the overview video and then the spoiler video, or do you prefer it in one package? Let me know that. If you got this far, thank you very much. Obviously, like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. And with all that said, all I said to say is any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.